On this car I'm going to install some LED running lights. So let me show you what I have. Right here is a very flat waterproof 6 LED strip. See the waterproof termination right here. Now it's also got 3M adhesive on the back side, and these are very cool. Now we sell these, of course you can get them anywhere, but they fit absolutely perfectly for this particular car. So what my plan is, stick it right in here so it hugs and contours the inner side of this fender well, because that space right there is kind of unsightly anyway. So my plan is to take this, install it here, and right in here is a perfect little hole so I can snake the wire, get it right down. And how I'm gonna switch this circuit is I'm going to tie it in to the fog light circuits. The circuit on this car, this car didn't come factory equipped with fog lights, but they were put in after the fact. And I actually have a video on that topic as well, so if you are interested, it's there. Now, this circuit for these fog lights is running on a 20 amp circuit because these are 55 watt xenon bulbs. This circuit is just 2 LEDs. These only need maybe 1/4 of 1 amp if that, to protect itself. So what we're going to do, and I suggest of course you do as well, is to use something like this, because I'm going to mount this fuse holder in this area outside, so it's going to be exposed to a lot of nasty weather. It has a waterproof lid right there. This one, I'm going to, when I tap off the fog light circuit, I'm going to tap off on there, use this and split it off to the 2 running lights. So of course in here, I'm going to mount this up in there with some P-ties, and I'm going to use a 1 amp ATC chiplet fuse, like so, and that's going to protect the circuit separately from here. Of course, just remember that you have another fuse for the separate circuit. Okay, so the key's on, the light should be on. Now the lights in this warehouse are kind of bright, so we just have the light from the sunroof up there. So this here is kind of going to give me that nice wannabe Audi style, and that's going to shine right through, and I'm going to try my best to aim it so that way it picks up a lot of this chrome in this bezel, to try to do my best to try to make it look as luminescent as possible. So before I get started, I just want to show you what tools I'm going to be using for my job. This here is some wire loom, or convolted tubing, some people call it. Just gives you the ability to, there's a little slit right there, so you can slide your wires in there and protect it. When you're done, you could, P-tie it, tape it up, and it gives it a nice professional way of doing everything, routing your cables. And of course, I'm going to take that, go behind this bumper, terminate up here where I split off the other light. So wire loom, I'm using 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch actually would work as well, because I'm just using this 18 gauge speaker cable to power my circuit. Nothing too crazy, half copper. Of course, you're also going to need some wire ties. I got some relatively heavy duty 8-inch ones for myself. Standard wire stripper. A knife works really well when you're cutting this loom. You don't want to struggle using a stripper, especially if they're not sharp like mine are. You got to kind of like nibble at them, and it gives you a nasty looking end. So knife is more better for that. I got some shrink tubing, which I'm going to use for my connections, because again, whenever I'm working under the hood or anywhere outside where it's not protected inside the interior or the trunk of the car, this is probably a lot better. You don't have to use it. You can use standard connectors if you choose to. You can even splice the wires and tape them up really good if that's what you want to do. But for me, I have the stuff, and I like to try to show people the right way to do things. Standard electrical tape. If you're going to buy tape, don't buy that cheap crap. Get some 3M 1700 or better. Personally, I like the 1700 better than the Super 88. I think that stuff is too elasticy and it falls apart too quickly. And this here is my fuse holder, which I showed you previously. It's a standard 10 gauge, which is overkill for this job, but it's the smallest I had, and I have a small fuse to protect the circuit separately from the circuit on the fog lights. That's very important. So whatever you're getting power from, of course you have to have a fuse on the power, or the side that's holding the positive voltage on your circuit, but fuse it accordingly. If you don't know how to fuse things accordingly, it's very simple. All you got to do is figure out the wattage of your light. So say for instance you had, obviously not in this case, but if you had a 10 watt bulb, 10 watts divided by 12 volts is going to give you the amperage. So you just use that, or it's standard voltage law. So you know, you could use that for this job or any job. But my LEDs draw almost next to nothing, so I'm using a 1 amp. Of course I have 2 of my LED strips, and that's it. I'm ready to start getting to work. Alright, so first thing I want to do is I want to mount my light, and I want to make sure it's in the right position. So I'm going to cut my key on. Okay. This is a little scary, these wires though. Not insulated. So for right now, I'm just going to slide that right out of there. If you do have some kind of like degreaser, like a paint reducer or after or Goo Gone, something like that, that would probably be the absolute best. But this car I know was cleaned recently, so there should be no grease. And since I'm using just a sticker really, essentially, you want to make sure you get the best adhesion, because it wouldn't look too cool cruising down the road with your lights hanging off. Now I got this wire, which you can see I have a little bit more than I need. So if you're gonna do this stuff, do it, clean. Don't leave a whole bunch of nasty wires so you got them all over the place. But then again, leave yourself a little room should you ever need to service this down the road. So I'm gonna say right about here is pretty good. And I'm also gonna plan in the future, knowing that I have another wire that I have to run to the passenger side light. So I'm going to grab that now, pull that wire off the roll. Okay, so I got that. I got my fuse, I got my output from the power source, and I got the other light. So I got both lights, power coming in, and the fuse. So first things first, I'm going to start from where the power's coming out of, overlap the wires, and start twisting them around. Just like that. Slide that right on there. There's my power. That. Same thing, grab yourself about 1.5 inches. And on both sides of your lights, grab just the power side. This time I'm going to make it more like around 2 inches, because I'm going to have double the wires on this time around. Eyeball it, not to be that serious. Poke yourself. Feed that right through there. Okay, there we go. So there's my power side going to both my lights. So the power coming in off the fog light circuit with the fuse in line. Tight. That shrink tubing on in there. Perfect. So power side is done. Now I'm left with the two negative sides of the lights, the LEDs. Again, same deal, 2 inches. 2 inches on that one. And those two together. Prep this side. It helps if you kind of strip it back and then twist it with your hand instead of tearing up your fingers like mine are. So, piece heat shrink. I might use a little bit too much shrink wrap, but whatever. Better too much than too little. Thing, overlap and twist those boys right up. Perfect. Gently slide it on over. Now, unlike the light that I had done the heat shrink on, these ones here, since it's more wires and it's just a heavier gauge, they tend to kind of like make this knot, and that kind of scares me. I don't like that stuff. So what I'm going to do is, just for good measure, I'm just going to take some tape, go over both of these, starting just about a 1/4 inch over from the edge of the heat shrink, to just give it that much more protection from, you know, water and whatever gets into these things from under this car. Just give it another wrap. And there you go, man. So you got your power coming in, fuse, 12 volts going on both sides of the lights, negative, same deal. Now you got this loom from this light, and you got this other one here which has nothing on it. Now this is just all basically cosmetic, and I'll show you how you can bring these two all together very nicely. Make it look real professional. How's that for a close-up of all the bug splatter? Now, I don't know if I mentioned it, but you also, by having these daytime running lights or running LEDs or fog light LEDs, whatever, a running light, whenever you turn your car on, if you ever notice, a lot of the newer cars have that feature. The reason is actually once you have that, it's actually a safety feature, like having a car alarm or a low jack or glass etching. You actually save 5% on your comprehensive by having this feature installed. So actually it can kind of pay for itself. Not only is it cool looking, but it also saves you money. A bit of information for you, if you care. Now what I'm doing is I'm going to make a junction with all this loom going from here, there, and everywhere. I like to do this to terminate the ends, so that way they stay on there. Just feed the loom down the line, because this one's going to go to the passenger side. I try to do it in this order. The reason is so that way when I'm done making this, all I got to do is just start getting underneath there, wire tying it, running across and up, and then the last connection I have is to the actual LED on the passenger side, and I'm done with this. It just makes more sense to do it that way. That's why you see some cars that just have this nasty ass looking wiring on them, because there's no pre-thought to what they're doing. Don't be that guy. Don't do the slam bam. Take your time, do nice wiring. Everybody can admire some nice work. No idea. I hope you take that advice. So, now we got this mess. So, what I'm going to do is take the driving side light, run it down. I'm going to try to grab both of these at the same time. Right there, it's starting to get a little tight. So that's why I'm going to take a piece of this tape, wrap it right there. This is where things is going to start getting funky. Continue running it up. Or if you have thicker size loom, you could actually just start that from here to here if you wanted to. But I think I can make it. I think we can. That's really full. So for good measure, I'm just going to wrap this whole piece right here. Now I split it off. Now I got this other piece that's going to the passenger side light. All I got to do here, bring it up close as I can to this other. I'm just going to go crazy here for a second. I mean, this is pretty typical stuff. This is what factories do anyway. So now I have everything. All I got to do is get underneath the car, start my main wire tie, button that side up, run it across, up and over into the grill, and finish off on the other side. Alright, so I already pulled my wire from underneath. Luckily for me, on this here car, there's a like an air conditioning hose or some shit there. Now, be careful whenever you do this on your car, because I can't tell you how many times myself I've ran into curbs and just scraped up the whole bottom of my car. You don't want your wire to be on the bottom side of that, because it's going to mean bad things for this job you just did. So take extra care, don't take out the wire ties. So I've already went ahead and routed mine up. So now what I'm going to do is just get this, secure it, bring it around. I'm going to do my other light. And next time you see me, it's going to be a finished job. There it is, folks. It's done. Shut the lights off for y'all. Look at that. Not too shabby. There you go. Look at that headlight. How pretty is that? Who wouldn't want that? That's a wrap. So if you're interested in getting these LEDs, at the end of this video there'll be an email, so you can shoot us an email if you want them. We'll be happy to get you a smoking deal on some of these things. If not, I wish you luck with your own ventures, and thanks for watching.